Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for One Piece chapter 954, and oh boy, have we got a doozy of a chapter to talk about today. Okay, so to start off, let's jump into the big reveal at the end of the chapter where it's revealed Big Mom and Kaido have teamed up, which first, fuck you Oda by leaving us with that cliffhanger and pretty much and that little blurb that says you're going on break next week. But from here, there's a couple ways to look at this. The first and the least likely of them I'm thinking of is that all this is some sick joke Oda is setting up for the punchline when the next chapter drops. But that's the least likely one I'm thinking of. In the more likely scenario, that this whole alliance is a legit thing of them teaming up, then yeah, things just got so much fucking worse for our heroes, because now that they pretty much have Orochi and his forces, which granted that part is probably the weakest of them, mind you, Kaido and the Beast Pirates, and basically any allies that Kaido has left, because after this I don't think Hawkins is going to be much of an ally, as well as Big Mom and assumingly her crew now to deal with. I mean, yeah, what the fuck, Oda? This is seriously one of those times where honestly, where I want to meet Oda at a con. I want to meet Oda at like an anime con or something, just to strictly ask him how much of a sadistic streak the man has. Especially when it comes to subverting our expectations, because, with this, Oda has just now stacked the fucking deck against our heroes. He's just stacked the fucking deck against Luffy and the Onigashima raid team, and it's like, how are they supposed to deal with this shit? Oh, and let's not forget, there's as the chapter revealed to at the end, there's also apparently a hidden force that Kaido's been keeping in reserve or something like that. So yeah, there are those people too. It's like, what is this supposed? Like, how are they supposed to survive this? Anyone, genuinely, it's like Oda is. Oh, Oda, Oda's favorite. This is Oda's favorite pastime, isn't it? Him stacking the deck against our heroes. He loves doing this shit for some inexplicable reason. And let's face facts, we all love him for it. We do. Now, obviously, those are two things I've mentioned, but there is a third option here. I think that is possible as well, which is that with this whole supposed alliance between Kaido and Big Mom, it could be a setup in order for Big Mom to betray Kaido at some point during the raid of Onigashima. But for right now, I just gotta give Oda props for basically taking my Big Mom alliance theory and throwing it in the complete opposite direction. Like, Oda is the master of subverting expectations. The man just does not know when to stop and when to quit with this shit. And yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to see where this is gonna go. If Big Mom's gonna betray Kaido, or if they're legitimately teamed up from pretty much beginning to end here. But considering that whole line about them wanting to destroy the world, though, yeah, they're probably a legit thing from beginning to end for this, I think. Yeah. Now let's kind of rewind a bit here, and let's kind of in terms of rewind, let's rewind it a bit here, because following the epic Meito Enma sword reveal from last week, this week also drops us the reveal that there are two swords Odin owned, and the second one is in Momo's possession. Now, obviously, as I said, when it comes to Zoro, wielding the Meito Enma, it pretty much puts him in the spotlight as a main focus for the final battle against Kaido. And this week's reveal kind of does the same for Momo with basically the Ame no with the amino heap. But I'm wondering in what capacity that pretty much Momo is going to play a part in the final battle. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to Momonosuke, he is still just a child, and it's physically impractical for him to even attempt to fight Kaido. So the only thing I can think of is that either Zoro is going to end up wielding both these blades at some point during the final battle, or pretty much Hibikiri has some kind of special power outside of being used for combat, which, considering the translation of it being a heavenly blade, I wouldn't be surprised. Also, poor Kawamatsu, and I genuinely mean that because, pretty much he just kept getting a fucking headache from pretty much everything Zoro was, from basically everything that from Zoro and Zoro and Hiyori were talking about, and oh god, and the whole thing with pretty much Zoro talking about having fought Ryuma. That was the most hilarious moment for me, because it was just like, okay, Zoro, you might want to clarify that shit. You might want to really start clarifying this shit of how you came into position of Shusui and how you fought Ryuma, because you do realize you just said that shit out loud, right? And yeah, you just might want to fill them in a little bit so you don't break Kawamatsu's brain. Just saying, bro. Just saying. And okay, and for those who don't know, Hawkins has been a little bit of a difficult character for me to kind of nail down. Like, especially as of late, only because of how frustrating a character he's been. But this chapter, it all laid it on the table, and damn, he really got me back on his side with what we learned and how the encounter with Kaido went from all those chapters back, and the odds that Hawkins talked about in this chapter are definitely things we've already kind of come to expect at this point from a near unstoppable force like Kaido, but just hearing Hawkins talk about it truly is very frightening, and there was just a real haunting aspect in the way Oda had written the whole scene, and the way Hawkins was talking about his dialogue. There was just something about it where you really felt the weight and the fear in pretty much Hawkins' words. Like you could tell this was like this was genuinely serious, and it wasn't exactly It wasn't something he was thinking lightly. He genuinely thought this through, even beyond just the variables he usually spouts. Like he pretty much knew that there wasn't any other choice for him. So yeah, of course, in terms of learning, in terms of Apu was the first to jump ship from that alliance, and the reason it fell apart isn't really all that surprising, considering that Apu is like the same guy whose whole strategy during the encounter with Kizuru was to hit and run. But yeah, it gives news perspective on Kid's complete loss of resolve, and honestly just how cruel the idea of sparing a defeated opponent truly is. I mean, when it comes to like sparing a defeated opponent, when it comes to like only defeating an opponent and sparing them, this is something Shonen always does, and something that Luffy constantly employs throughout the series with his fights. But when you hear it coming from Hawkins and the way he describes it, and how he describes like pretty much Kaido's method of it, it's basically downright cruel. The way like pretty much. Like Kaido's method of sparing people, it's downright cruelty, and his method of defeating and sparing his opponents, it's quite an eye opener, and And you see, and with this chapter, we see how it affects those he defeats, like Hawkins and they like Hawkins and Kid, they have downright PTSD from their experience with Kaido. It's really that fucking bad, and like really it just kind of it just kind of shakes you when it just kind of reinforces just how mad and how powerful Kaido is. Um, so and so yeah. The chapter this week, it revealed to us that there are only two ways in order to enter Wano. The first is how Luffy and his team of Straw entered by pretty much way of the Koi waterfall. And the other is an underground cavern that's only accessible with Kaido and Orochi's permission. And at first, I thought this was a strange thing for Oda to talk about, but then it clicked in me why he told us this. What Oda was doing with just that one little explanation of explaining to us like of the two different kinds of ways in which people can enter the. What Oda was doing by explaining us these two different methods is that it's basically showing us. It's basically Oda showing us that pretty much the old Straw Hat luck was holding true to form and telling us straight that if Luffy and the others had entered Wano through that underground passage, then they would have essentially blown this whole plan to shit. Because as it says, pretty much in terms of entering that. In terms of people entering that underground cavern, the only way to do it is to get permission from pretty much Kaido and Orochi. So, and if they had gone that way, they would have blown the whole plan sky high right then and there. But because they didn't, everyone, just the entire plan itself, it was saved, and it can still go on. It can still move forward. Like everything that happened here, it's like all because Luffy had taken that Koi waterfall way. Everything can still go on. Like obviously, there's still going to be a bump in the road, but yeah, because of that one little detail, everything can go a little more smoothly now. That is the most beautiful use of hero plot armor I have ever seen. Like, I'm not even joking with you. I'm probably playing this up and easily impressed, but to me, just the way Oda explains this to us, it's like I love it. I absolutely love it. Like it is, again, it's using the shonen tropes, but it's a shonen trope of plot armor for the heroes, but again, Oda, he does this shit so beautifully, and I love it. We love this shit. This is what One Piece attracts us. He knows how to execute these very simple things. Using these simple setups, he knows how to execute this shit. He knows what he's working with, and he knows what to do with it. Oh, like, yeah, I love Oda. Oh, man. Oh, God, Oda. Yeah, what can I say? Again, I'm probably playing this up too much, but it's amazing. Now, one interesting thing I found when reading this chapter is that when it came to the layout in which the story was told, it reminded me a little bit of the Promise Day episode of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, in the sense where a lot of the chapter was jumping around a lot, while still showing us how everyone was making the final preparations and preparing themselves in their own personal way for the inevitable raid on Onigashima. And like, it just kind of had. I don't know if anyone else got that feeling, but for me as a major Fullmetal Alchemist fan in general, I really got that sense of this being as being a bit of a montage chapter that was just showing everyone how everyone was making the final preparations and preparing themselves for in order for the final battle in a way. So yeah, it just kind of reminded me of that for some reason. And yeah, what can I say? The true G Yasui, still in his own way, helped everyone, even beyond the grave, or in the grave and whether it's one of those things where obviously it wasn't fully intentional, probably, but it probably wasn't fully intentional in the way he intended, but it pretty much still gave. But because Yasui had united everyone under that symbol, it gave them that opportunity in order to give them that window in order to gather everyone together. So yeah, just Yasui, you are the true G, my man, and you are the true G even beyond the grave. Rest in peace, my dude. You're the true hero here. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Mr. Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.